YouTube, what did YouTube? Down Home News TV. I am Dre. I have a video coming from the Biblical Conservative. The title of the video is How Black Elites Profit Off of Black Ignorance. And the reason why I'm doing, well, what's the word y'all use? Reacting to this video is because I was working with a younger black person. I don't know how we got on the topic, but he was asking me about black celebrities and saying, oh, you don't even know this person, you don't know that person. And I was like, well, I think he was asking me to name 5 black celebrities, and obviously that's easy. But then I flipped the script on him and asked him to name 5 famous black inventors. And I didn't judge the guy, really. I kind of did a little bit, but I hate judging people. I don't like judging people, but long story short, I asked him to name 5 black inventors, and I can't really fault him for not knowing, because when I was his age, he was maybe early 20s, I didn't have a clue about black inventors, but no fault of his own. I was like that when I was his age, but just made me think of that situation. But let's get into the video.
In Hosea 4:6, it says that my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And because they have rejected knowledge, I will reject you from being a priest to me. In other words, God is saying that his people reject knowledge. They cast it away. So therefore, they will be subjected to being rejected by him. I say that because in today's world, in the black community, there is an epidemic of ignorance. Yes, an epidemic of ignorance. And it starts by sending our children to these failing schools. It starts by allowing the TV, social media, the culture to babysit, influence, and tutor our children into a lifestyle that leads to destruction. And you know who profits off of this? The black bougie elites. Yeah, the black elites. The ones that have the money, the ones that know the ins and the outs of what can turn black people on their side, what can motivate black people to do the bidding of the white liberal puppet masters. Yeah, those black elites. The latest example is Taraji P. Henson at the BET Music Awards. Now, this woman is flat out lying when she says this.
Did you know that it is now a crime to be homeless?
First of all, no one is arresting people for being homeless. Let's set the record straight. There was a ruling by the Supreme Court that said that cities can ban people from sleeping outside. No one is arresting anybody for being homeless, number one. And number two, when you have to understand something, these people are so...
That just made me think, we got a influx of homeless people where I'm at that I never saw when I was growing up, really. But it's just that comes with an expanding city, state, territory. I was flabbergasted a little bit. I was like, well, just paying attention to my surroundings, I was like, dang, I've never noticed this many homeless people before when I was growing up. But maybe about 6 months ago, a lady got ran over by a train and died across from where I work. And first thought was like, I mean, you didn't feel the rattling of the railroad and you didn't wake up? But then I met a guy when I was on my lunch break. He actually knew the lady, said she was sleeping, but she was also on a lot of drugs, obviously, and that's the reason why she just ended up passing out on a railroad track. But condolences to the lady, rest in peace.
Seductive and deceptive in their use of words and terminology. There is no such thing as reproductive rights. No such thing as reproductive rights. First of all, our rights come from God. We live in a constitutional republic. We do not live in a democracy. That is a lie. But because so many black people get their news from social media, get their news from CNN, get their news from BET, get their news from MSNBC, they don't understand basic civics. We live in a constitutional republic. We are a republic. Each state is its own entity, and they come together to form a union. That's how America is formed. But because the black bougie elite know this, or they are uninformed themselves, or just getting their marching orders from their liberal puppet masters, they continue to propagate these falsehoods, these lies to the black community, so black people can continue to vote for the Democratic Party. It's all a vicious cycle, and nothing ever changes in the community. But these black bougie elites profit out that. They profit off of black ignorance. They really do. Because they profit off the ability to say that I am the smart one. I can speak on behalf of these ignorant black folks. That's how they profit off things. And it's sad because it's not just these celebrities. Pastors fall into this category as well. They are the church plants, as I call them. They also profit off of black ignorance. Because black people, unfortunately, we as a people have been dumbed down so much. We have been dumbed down because we have allowed the culture, we have allowed entertainment, we have allowed the media to dictate how we should live. We in the black culture, we are the ones that look down upon people that are intelligent in our culture. We in the black culture.
I'm going to have to insert a little bit quotations from the great Jesse Lee Peterson. Not all, but some. Or does he say most? I gotta go review some of his videos again, but it's been a while since I watched a JLP video.
Culture. We don't want to look down upon people who wants to live a life that's pleasing to God. We in the black culture, we're the ones that look down upon men that want to stay home and take care of their families. We in the black culture, we're the ones that look down upon women that want to stay home and raise their families in the fear and admonition of the Lord. We in the black community do that. And the black bougie elite profit off that. They know that. They know that they can keep black people being ignorant. They will continue to be the useful idiots. Another example, Steve Harvey.
We've got an incredible show for you tonight.
The commercials.
Well, that's good, because you might as well be able to get a small business loan, because you can be president too
Like the
with a
moderator.
criminal record. So that's a nice exchange. Ain't that about it?
Yeah.
You know, look, I've been reading this paper because I got to stay to the, I got a headache trying to.
Reminds me of Steve Harvey and Monique situation. How basically Monique had her career canceled for some of the things she was saying and keeping it too real. And her and Steve Harvey was going back and forth. And Steve was basically saying, well, keeping it real ain't going to pay my bills and provide for my family and provide generational wealth. He's got a point to that. But at the same time, Monique would come back and say, well, what about your morals and your character? Is that worth? I'm assuming he's making hundreds of millions. That's a busy dude. I see him on almost every TV show. I think he's got a judge show too. I was like, what the hell this nigga want to pass a bar? But that's a different story for a different day.
Stay on course, so just let me go off this paper for a minute. Before y'all start calling my radio show and DMing me, talking about why you ain't asked no hard-hitting questions, that ain't what this is. I'm throwing a lob. This is an alley-oop for a dunk. because this administration needs to get the word out of what they're actually doing and what they're actually accomplishing, so we can stop all this foolishness about what you're doing for black people. Can't nobody come out with no agenda and call it this for black people and expect to get in the White House. You got to play the game different. Y'all know what this is. So now this next question is another lob for her to dump. Because they done a lot, man. But we see, I'm on this radio show, and I'm hearing all these people talking about, I'm not voting if they not doing nothing for us. Listen to me. If you do not vote, the analytics will show. They know how many women vote, they know the age you are when you vote. If we don't vote, how we gonna ask for something next time? If you ain't got no voting power, you talking about reparations. Ain't nobody finna give you no reparations and you don't vote. Oh, why you think they finna give us some money? No how, man. I hope they do. They owe us. I go down there. I'm sorry.
And you see, that's the trick that the Democrats, the liberals, the Marxists, and the communists have played on black people. They have convinced black people that your only power in America comes from voting. It doesn't come from you actually forming families, building communities, living lives that are pleasing to God, living lives that reflect the biblical order, establishing, and see, they don't tell you that is how black people achieved. When black people didn't have voting power, how was it that we had these communities that were thriving? When there was no voting power after Reconstruction and during Jim Crow, how was it that black people were thriving when they didn't have voting power? See, that's the trick that these black bougie elites play with you. You saw Kamala Harris was laughing at that. Of course they're not going to give black people reparations. They're not going to give you reparations. Why would they? Because they have your vote. You're in their back pocket. They're not going to do anything for you because they don't have to. Because you're so ignorant in their minds. You're dumb and you're stupid. They depend on your ignorance. They profit off of your ignorance. And the black bougie elite definitely profits off of your ignorance. They make money off of your ignorance. Look at all the shows. Why do you think Tyler Perry makes all these shows that highlight the worst of the black community? Why do you think he makes these shows that promote all kind of sin and debauchery and mess? Why does he? Because it profits him. That's the only reason he does it. And you'll see people like him, people like Steve Harvey, people like Taraji P. Henson, when they know, I don't even think they know. I think they really are ignorant themselves. But they profit more for your ignorance because they are less ignorant than you. They know how the game is played. They know how their bread is buttered by the liberal puppet masters. And so they will tap dance for them whenever they need to. That's why they sit up here and tell you these lies about reproductive justice when they know that abortion is the #1 killer in the black community. That the percentage of black Americans in America has remained stagnant for the last 50 years. They know that. Or the sad part about it is they don't know that, but the liberal puppet masters know that. They know to keep black people in their place. So what do? They give these why don't they talk about reproductive justice to other ethnicities?
Before it goes any further, I just want to add that how is it whenever the so-called right puts a black person in a position of power or is elected to a position of power in the Republican Party? For an example, Tim Scott. What's the doctor? His face is in my head, but I can't think of the name. Ben Carson. And Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. If you listen to any left-leaning material, they'll call them coons, Uncle Toms, token. But yet, when the liberals say, we're going to appoint the first black woman Supreme Court Justice, isn't that the same thing? Yeah, granted that the Democratic Party is more colorful, you could say, but they all have bosses that they have to fall in line with as well, so it seems. I don't think they're all making their own decisions when it comes to things. They might vote a certain way just to say, hey, I did this, but at the end of the day, what was Biden's presidential slogan? Build back better. And lockstep when it comes to the Democratic Party. Lockstep meaning they all fall in line. And yeah, I just don't see how people, I know they realize it, because me and certain people, we have these discussions. They realize it deep down. They just don't want to admit it. But let's continue on. It's almost over.
I don't hear them talking about reproductive justice to these migrants coming over illegally. I don't see them having Planned Parenthoods and facilities down at the border. I don't see them rushing these migrants to Planned Parenthood facilities in Chicago and New York and places like that. But nah, they'll put one in the middle of the black community and say it's there for reproductive justice. They depend on your ignorance, black people. And as the most spiritual people in America, it is a shame that we have allowed ourselves to be so dumbed down because of political power, and because we want to be relevant to the culture, we have become deaf to the Spirit of God, deaf to God telling us to come up higher. These people only want us to be perpetual victims. We're not victims. We are empowered for greatness.
These guys showed up on a crate and it was installed
get me out of here.
within an hour. Pretty impressive.
Well spoken by the biblical conservative. Down Home News TV. I am Dre. Y'all